Okay, hello class. Welcome back to another caricature lesson. This one we're doing is, this is Tom from a recent commission. So I hope you like the way this one turns out. So let's jump in. Okay, so this will be another one with a body in it, like we did before. With Anna and with Taylor. Okay, so I'm aware that Tom's got a beard, obviously, in his picture, so we're going to leave a bit of room for that down at the bottom here. And we're going to keep his head quite small at the top. His eyes are quite high on his head. And we're going to make his nose quite big. Okay, his mouth we're going to just tilt slightly. And his chin tilting back the other way. So everything's got a bit of a zigzag feel to it. It's not all straight in one line. But I'm aware of the shape of his mouth. I'm going to try and keep that. And then his beard will be in this area around here. So even though I'm not doing individual hairs at the moment, I'm putting where the growth is going to be. Now he looks very dapper in his tuxedo, but in this case the client said that he's a ranger. Now I'm not really very sure what a ranger is, so I did some Google searching and I found what seems to be a ranger uniform. And it might be completely wrong, but it doesn't really matter. It still looks nice. Okay, we're going to put his ears on now. Again, they're not the smallest ears we've ever drawn, but I'm sure they still look very nice. There we go. And now we're just going to put his hairline. It's got this nice curly quiff thing going on at the front, so we're going to put that in. Now the reason I'm stopping here is because I want him to be wearing a hat, which is apparently is a ranger's hat. So there you go. So the hat will go around that top part of his head there. The brim is going to be very wide, out to about here. Okay, we're doing a bit quicker today. We're up to three and a bit minutes. Now the rest of his hat, we're going to continue his head through the hat to where the outer bit is. There. And of course, anyone with a hat knows you need something to tie it on. So we'll get that done. Right, now his body, we're going to put his body directly in line with his head, so his feet are going to be about here. And I'm going to give him quite a slouchy sort of look. I'm sure he's not a slouch, but it's just funny to do that. And his legs, again, just stick figure legs, but they'll be slightly bent at the knee, like this. So everything's got a nice balance. So all the weight of his head, even though it's oversized, is concentrated above his body and above his feet. So there's no danger of him tipping over, which is good. Right, his belt will be around here. And we'll give him a shirt collar here. and a little necktie. And his hands, well, his arms will just be loose, just hanging down by his waist. This hand up here, I think, we'll just have it like that for now. When you're doing hands, it's best not to start at the shoulder, go down to the elbow, up to the hand, because you find that that journey, that direction, might lead you to make the arms too long or too short. What I tend to do is do the body and then completely disconnect the hand. Put the hand wherever you feel it looks its best, and then you can join that to the body. So you know it's going to have 2 points. It's going to have the forearm and the upper arm. Okay, but if you were to start here and draw the upper arm, then the forearm, then the hand, it might be more difficult. So that's how I tend to do it. And I'll give him a sleeve down there. So I think that's almost enough to begin our cleanup. And as usual, I'll puddle the shadow. There. Let's just close his eyes up a wee bit there. That's better. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to the black pencil with authentic pencil looking noises added. These are available to download at any point, just let me know. There we go. Okay, so let's start our cleanup. So where should we begin? Yeah, eyes are usually the best place, so we'll get them properly put in. Make sure he's looking at the camera. And I think what I'm going to do now that we've seen how Tom looks, I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit. That's it. So I think we've used the photograph enough for reference. Good. Okay. So I hope you're able to follow this okay. If you have any questions, again, email me at rick@rickmachinstudios.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay, we're over 10 minutes, which is not great, but I can't seem to get it any quicker, I'm afraid. I think it's the bodies, to be honest, that's slowing it down, because the ones where it was just the head and shoulders, they were actually fairly quick. But it's good to know how to add a body, I think. If you notice proportionally as well, we've got the head and body almost the same size in this cartoon. So it's a classic proportion to use, really. But you could use any proportions you want. You'll find later, as we do more famous characters, they use different proportions altogether. But in cartooning, you tend not to talk about someone's height. You talk about how many heads they are. In which case, this character would be 2 heads high. Another character might be 3 heads high or 8 heads high, however many. But you measure it by the amount of heads would fit into a body. So that's how they do it. And it helps if you're animating a character to keep it in proportion. You know, if it's running off into the distance, you want to make sure, even if it's far away, it's still 2 heads high. So I hope this looks a bit like a ranger, whatever they do. So I'm just putting a shadow under his hat level, just to give it a bit of depth. His hair is dark. His beard will be slightly dark. We'll take out some of these guidelines. They've served their purpose now. And I'll put a bit of a shadow down the side of his nose here, and underneath as well. And also a shadow down the side, just basically anywhere you think it might need a bit of a shadow. And then of course his uniform would be, I imagine, grey or green or something. If he's like a park ranger, maybe. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Right, I'm just going to move it over slightly again. Oh, hold on. That's better.